always say just morning instead of good morning, because if it were a good morning, I'd be fishing.
It's late at night and I'm in my feels, so here's things that I wish I knew sooner. Breakup edition. Number one, they're not their potential. Do you know how many relationships I stayed in because I thought they could live up to the person I had in my head, that they could be, that I believed they could be? They couldn't be that person. I didn't even know if they wanted to be that person. Two, it's okay to feel sad when someone has to leave your life, but that doesn't mean that it's wrong. Three, the qualities that you wish they had aren't just gonna show up out of thin air. If you want someone who shows you off, holds your hand in public, does all these things, and they're not doing it, they don't have that quality. Think about it this way. I was never good at math. I did not have that skill, and I couldn't be good at math just because someone else wanted me to or asked me to. Your ex, your current toxic boyfriend, they do not have your heart. When my ex would treat me like trash, I would just be like, but I wouldn't do this to them. Exactly. I wouldn't do that to him. That doesn't mean he wouldn't do it to me. Number five, this is a hard pill to swallow. I used to act like I couldn't swallow pills because this one hurt. There is a difference, and it's clear as day if you look for it. But there's a difference between a relationship being hard and a relationship being wrong. Now, in a relationship, you're gonna go through hard times. You might deal with something, mental health, physical health. They might have a death. You might have problems and be working through it together as a team. It's hard, but you're getting through it. But there are times when it's just wrong, and you know the difference. When they treat you like trash, and they're not getting better, and they're not putting you first, and they're just a horrible human. That's when it's wrong. There's a difference between it being hard and wrong. Six, you subconsciously take on the qualities of the people you surround yourself with. So if your ex, your toxic boyfriend has horrible qualities, you're gonna start treating yourself like that, him like that, others like that. It's proven. Look it up. It's proven. I know y'all heard that trending viral song on TikTok that's like, I cry in the bathroom, he turns off the big light. That's number seven. Being alone is better than crying and having panic attacks on your birthday. Mic drop. If you want a part two, I've got more.
Days seem sometimes as if they'll never end.
Let's talk about the 20 things I wish I knew while dating in my 20s. Know how to give yourself closure even if he didn't. An amazing first date doesn't always make for an amazing relationship. Some stars burn bright and fast. Don't go home with a guy after the first date. He's a stranger you met 2 hours ago and you don't know what he's capable of. Sometimes it's better to be ghosted than to be strung along. The man who thinks you owe him your body after paying for your dinner is not your man. Staying with a guy solely because you don't think you can do any better is a terrible reason to stay. Comfort lulls you into a dangerous tranquility. It's better to be single than to be with a man who doesn't value you. The loneliest you will ever be is feeling unseen in a relationship. You can love yourself without hating men. Know what you want and don't be afraid to admit it. If your goal in life is to be a stay-at-home mom with a husband who brings home the bacon, don't let some fake form of feminism tell you that's not what you should want. Nothing's worse than being in a marriage where you lie to your partner because you lied to yourself. The guy who's the life of the party isn't necessarily the right guy. You need a husband, not a dance partner. They're brownie points if he's both. There's a difference between a man prioritizing you and a man pretending like he's prioritizing you because he needs you to feel good about himself. An insecure man will always find a way to degrade a woman's strength. You're too much, you're too loud, or too opinionated. Don't ever dim your light so some man can feel like his shines brighter. Dating a guy who challenges you is overrated. Challenge yourself and let your relationship be a soft place to land at the end of a hard-fought day. You're not meeting a man the first 6 months of a relationship, you're meeting the representative of the man. If he changes, it's just because he finally showed you who he really is. For the love of God, do not go back. Your feet were placed in front of you and not behind you for a freaking good reason, and it's because what is ahead of you is way better than what lies behind you. Alcohol won't help you forget him, it'll just help you remember him with a hangover. Just because he's a good guy doesn't mean he's the right guy. If you want to know what kind of guy he is, watch how he treats people who can do nothing for him. Letting go doesn't happen in one magical moment. It's often a series of 1 step forward and 2 steps back until one day you look back and realize you've let go. If you're lucky, today's the worst version of yourself you'll ever be. Give yourself the gift of time to grow into the person you want to become. You don't need to be perfect for a man to love you. You just need to be real. Let's talk about how I stopped being that girl that guys wanted to date but didn't want to commit to. Yeah. For reference, I spent all my 20s dating on the apps in New York City. By my calculations, I've gone on approximately 208 first dates, which is a conservative estimate given that I was single for a majority of my 20s and meeting, on average, 2 new guys per week. Here's what changed my life from being someone who could always get a second, third, or fourth date but had a really hard time finding someone to be my boyfriend, to now being that girl that's getting married in 10 days. The answer's simple. I took a page out of my Psych 101 class and applied the scarcity mindset to my life and my body. I stopped giving my body to men who didn't want to give their commitment, time, and effort to me. If you are not comfortable being my boyfriend and introducing me to the people in your life as your girlfriend, you are not going to touch the goodies. And yes, the words girlfriend/boyfriend are important here. Not exclusively dating each other, but without labels, because we all know that's BS. I saw a video of a dating expert the other day who said that women can make themselves more attractive to men on the first few dates by being overly excited to see them because people are conditioned to respond well to being wanted. No, people are conditioned to want what they can't have. And if you treat yourself like a precious natural resource that's in limited supply, men will too. Remember, at the end of the day, we teach people how to treat us. And I don't care how much of a feminist world we live in, men are hunters. They're conditioned to enjoy the chase. So ladies, don't let them forget you're the grand prize. Let's talk about how one of the most difficult things you'll ever do is leaving the man you love for the man you know you deserve. Story time. When I was in my 20s, I dated a guy who made me want to create wedding hashtags out of our names. Before I fell asleep at night, I thought about all the ways we were perfect for each other, how we were both only children, how we were both weird, but like in the same way, and most importantly, how he made me feel. Because this was the guy who one night, as I was apologizing for crying over God knows what, turned to me and said, "Anna, you don't have to be sorry because life isn't about being perfect, it's about being real, and don't you think that would have made a great line at our wedding that never happened?" And the thing is, all of the above was true and real, but the following things were also true and real. That he was the kind of guy who brought me to a sports bar and decided to ignore me all night and talk to some random 50-year-old dude instead. That he was the kind of guy who got so drunk one night that he couldn't really understand I meant it when I said no means no. And most importantly, that he was the kind of guy who was always halfway in and halfway out. And if I'd been more honest with myself, I would have realized that last point a heck of a lot sooner. Because here's the thing, ladies, loving a man does not mean he's your man forever, and most of the guys you'll date and fall in love with will break your heart, and that's okay. What's not okay is staying in a relationship where you feel seen 50% of the time, and the other 50% you're wondering why your boyfriend would rather talk to some random 50-year-old dude in a bar instead of you. So if I could go back and tell my 20-something self one thing, it would be this. Learn to leave even if it means you'll be alone for a little while. Learn to leave even if it means you're gonna hate the next 10 dates you go on. And learn to leave not because you don't love him, but because you know someone else can love you so much better.
I just tell him what I want, cause I got another nigga that's gonna do it if he don't.
Here's some hot girl phrases to assert your boundaries. You interrupted me. I wasn't done speaking. I'm not obligated to explain myself to you. When I say how you made me feel, it's not up for discussion. You will not make me feel guilty for putting my needs first. I'm not prepared to discuss this right now. Speak to me with respect, or this conversation is over. I need a break to collect my thoughts. I'm not afraid of you. My personal favorite is no. No is a complete sentence, and you never have to explain yourself. Hot girls set boundaries.
Men marry the woman in front of them at the time they are ready to get married.
My mom has been talking about this for years, and as a kid, I never understood what she was saying, but as an adult, I fucking get it. She has always been saying it has nothing to do with love half the time. It is proximity and timing. And I learned that the hard way. I was dating a guy many months ago, and we broke it off. He moved. That was the end of it. He ended up getting married, and I thought, okay, well, I guess he loves her, and that's just what that is. 3 years later, he contacted me to say, you know, you were the one that got away. And I said, I don't fucking understand. Like, you had me. And he was like, I wasn't fucking ready. And when I was ready, she was there. We got married, and she was the total wrong one for me. And this isn't about man bashing. We're not sitting here being like, fuck men. Like, this is just purely what it is. And it's just something that we've had to accept. And that's why even Sex and the City had the yellow cab light theory, was that when a cab light is on and the first girl to get into it gets the guy when he is ready. You could literally be the most incredible and a mind-blowing human being to ever exist. If a guy doesn't want a relationship or just isn't ready, he's not going to see you any differently. And it's enough of that antiquated thinking of, well, if he really wanted you, he would, because that takes the power away from you as well as who you are as a person. It diminishes you, as if there's anything wrong with you that this person couldn't see that. So it's time for us to put ownership on the people that the onus belongs to being, which is the men that are not ready. And that's totally okay if somebody isn't ready. But it's also just being cognizant and understanding that just because an ex that you might have been with ends up getting a girlfriend after doesn't necessarily mean it was a better connection. That just means that they were ready, and that was the person at the proximity and timing that was there for them when it happened.